joining us on another edition of Engineering and You. It's a program where we bring to you engineers that have proven themselves in their field of endeavor, and they are always here every Friday to encourage young people, especially secondary school givers and probably some undergraduates, on the reason why they must choose engineering, because so good the engineer, like I always say on this program, so good the society. My name is Tunela Nero, and this program is sponsored by Prince Engineer Mrs. Shillon, FNSC. He is the reason why we are coming to your viewing pleasure every Friday at this time. And then before we set the ball rolling, we would like to say happy International Women's Day to all our female folks around the world watching this program. So to start, it's a very interactive one. We get to talk to you. You also get to talk to us and answer our question. So the question for today is, in which part of the body would we be able to find the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup? The hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. Which part of the body will you find that? If you know the answer, please call us or go to our various social media handle and drop the answer. You can be rest assured that you get your prize courtesy of our sponsor, Prince Engineer Mrs. Shillon, FNSC. And that is our question for the day, so go ahead and do that. So my guest is already seated and is ready to talk to us and explain some things to us. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we'll take this very short break. When we return, I'll let you know who my guest is and what is set to discuss. Glad to know that you are still there. My guest for today is Engineer Adesegun Akishola Fatoki, and he's going to be discussing with us on a very, very interesting topic. I find the topic very interesting, actually. Engineering plus vocational skill equals endless possibility. That's a mathematical topic, as it were. Welcome to Engineer Fatoki.
Thank you, and nice to have me. Nice being here.
All right, so I will leave the stage and allow him talk. But that's the topic: engineering plus vocational skill equals endless opportunities rather. So you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Can the slides go up?
Okay. All right. We'd like to have the slides.
Yes. Thank you very much, and welcome viewers at home. My topic today will be talking to young engineers, aspiring engineers, and engineering students. As a young engineer, I was asked this question by an older engineer in a multinational. And the question is, you are a mechanical engineer? I said, yes. And he asked me, are you into plumbing? I will discuss my reactions, my answers at the end of my presentation.
Okay.
So, as the presenter have said, today we'll be looking at engineering plus vocational skills equals endless opportunities. So, I like this quote very much because it lets everybody know that engineers, we add values to life. So, and it says, what others do for $2, an engineer will do it for $1. That's why engineering is the top qualification, is the top skills that everybody should endeavor to do. So, youths with post-secondary education in Nigeria have the highest unemployment rates. That's worrisome. A lot of youth with post-secondary education that are employed even take low-paid jobs that is 35,000, 38,000. And I've had instances where engineers at times also fall into this category. And I don't think any engineer should fall into this category, because engineers have all the opportunities in the world. So, if you look at engineers, these are basically our main roles. What do we do as engineers? We design, we construct, and we maintain. That's basically what engineers do all over the world. So, this is not shown well, but this is the Nigerian employment statistics. And it's tells us that 52% of Nigerians that are employed are actually employed in services, 35% in agriculture, and 13% in the industry. This tells us that a lot of Nigerians are actually employed in the services industry. We do service for one another. So when engineers are engaged in the industry, what do they do mainly? They are engaged either as site engineers or installation engineers, and as maintenance engineers. This is basically the two key roles that engineers are engaged in today in Nigeria, except for those ones that are into academia. So very little percentage of engineers today actually engaged as design engineers. A lot of us are engaged as maintenance engineers. If you work in Coca-Cola, if you work in NBL, you're a maintenance engineer, you help them maintain their plants, you work with NEPA. Most of us are engaged as maintenance engineers. So what does a maintenance engineer do? They inspect, they test, they repair, they service, they replace, they develop and implement maintenance schedule. But they're in charge of the maintenance of an organization, in charge of the maintenance of equipment and stuff that is done by an engineer. That is what they do. So who do they work with? So in the maintenance engineering, there is a crew. You have the craftsman, you have the technicians. Depending on the size of the company, you might have the engineers or the technologists. Some will have the two, others will just have either a technologist at the head of that crew or an engineer as the head of the crew. So these are the people in the crew. So that means that engineer in that organization supervises the craftsman, supervises the technician to ensure that the job is done. So it's also the role of the engineer to make sure that the maintenance job is done on time and on budget. That is basically what the engineer is there to do. So in big organizations, you have the craftsmen are supervised by the engineers. But if you look at it, because that organization is big, you have that organization bring in craftsmen. You have that organization bring in technicians. That organization will also bring in engineers. They will give the engineer a little bit of training on what the craftsman do, but the craftsman will be trained. So the engineer just has to do that oversight function. That is what the engineer will do in a big organization. But the Nigerian economy, as it were, actually needs engineers and technologists to starting engineering services companies. That is what we need. That is what our economy needs. So that is why I said engineering plus vocational skills is what is needed to start small, medium enterprise. That is where the endless opportunities come from. You, as an engineer, there is no way you can effectively supervise a craftsman if you don't know what that craftsman does. It's not possible. So that means you have to, if it is going to be your own organization that is not that big, then you need to learn what that craftsman does initially so you can effectively supervise him. Because if you don't know what he does, you cannot effectively supervise him. So that is why the engineer needs vocational skills to be able to start a small and medium enterprise. It is unheard of that in most cases, if you look at the domestic level, it is the craftsman that should be under supervision that is actually taking jobs. The job should be actually taken with small engineering companies that will hire the craftsman. But we don't usually do that. There's a missing link. And that missing link is huge opportunities for young engineers, for aspiring engineers, and everybody. So, as I've said, you cannot supervise effectively what a craftsman does if you don't know what he does. So that engineer that wants to go into that craftsman's business needs to do that. And secondly, the engineering curricula, we need to tweak it. We need to implement it with a maintenance flavor, because whether we like it or not, it's too much to the design side, but not a lot of us go into the design. So we need to, it's the same curriculum, but we just need to tweak it to have the maintenance flavor. So back to my other question. Yes, I said I was going to answer this question at the end of my presentation. So as I said, as a young engineer, I was asked that question. And when the guy asked me, can we have the question back, please? So when the guy asked me, I felt bad. That why are you asking me, a whole engineer, that am I into plumbing? That no, why should I be into plumbing? But 2 years later, I understand what the man was telling me. That was the area when they were building estates in Nigeria. They needed engineers that will help them work with the artisans to build the estates. You are not going to do the work, but once you understand what the plumber does, you can supervise the plumber and get the job done at a professional level. I went into air conditioning, and by the time I went into air conditioning, opportunities opened up. Opportunities opened up. So that is so I'm practicing what I'm preaching. It was from the opportunities that opened up that we realized a lot of our craftsmen need training. A lot of our people need training. That was why we started the institution that we started. So for young aspiring engineers, there is a huge opportunity in that maintenance industry. That is what you will do if you are in the industry. Why can't you do it on a small scale, on your own, and you will make a lot more money? Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you so much, Engineer Fatoki. I'm sure you have learned a lot of things. It's time for you to talk to us. The phone lines will be on your screen right now. So before you answer my question, you must ask my guest a question. That is the rule. Before you answer my question, make sure you ask my guest a question. But I have some questions for you, Engineer Fatoki. You mentioned earlier in your slide that engineers perform majorly 3 roles: design, maintenance, and construction. But you do more, in practical terms, in the maintenance and the construction side, not much on the design side.
That is the Nigerian economy.
Yes. I want to ask, how can we improve on that going forward in this country?
Well, you see, it requires a lot of investment. Look at your equipment here. If I'm going to start up a manufacturing plant to start manufacturing all this equipment, it needs a lot of investment. If I don't have that manufacturing plant, I will not do a lot of design. It is the architects and people like that that do a lot of that design.
So you mentioned something earlier on about you mentioned something earlier on about the role of engineering servicing company.
Yes.
Now, I would like to know, for the sake of our viewers, because they are young people, what is an engineering servicing company, and what do they do? Well, what kind of size are they?
Well, engineering services company varies. You understand? Let's assume I'm an automobile engineer and I set up a garage to maintain my cars. That's an engineering services company. I might be a small installation company that does plumbing, and I have people that is working for me. That is an engineering services company. So that is basically what you're supposed to do as an engineering services company. A lot of the builders and the architects have done that now, because you see a lot of people in civil engineering, they're the ones constructing houses and stuff, that with small companies, small architects that are already engaging artisans to work for them. That is what I mean.
Okay.
So that can be expanded, and by the time you start expanding it, you're going to have even opportunities for people to subcontract jobs for you, even for large organizations that don't want to have maintenance crew. I can have somebody come and maintain my equipment in a manufacturing plant, and you just come, you maintain, and you go. Outsourcing.
And you get paid.
You get paid. Outsourcing becomes a key. People in the IT industry are outsourced and you can work remotely. Something similar can happen in Nigeria.
All right. You mentioned craftsmen.
Yes.
You mentioned artisans. These are the people that the engineers should supervise.
Yes.
But in our immediate society, we discover that these artisans and craftsmen are the people our immediate society calls engineer. Now, I would like to, for the sake of education, because the sake of those that are watching us, I'd like you to expatiate and make us understand, the viewers understand, who really is the engineer. Is it the one that we know? For example, if you can call a mechanic an engineer, for example, in our society, as an engineer, it's true.
Well, you've answered your question because you said our society. For you to be called an engineer, there's an amount of education that you need to aspire to get to. Maybe you have to have a degree, you have to go to university, and you have to be registered with Quran before you can be called an engineer. So it takes a lot for you to earn that title engineer. Yes, the craftsmen are also part of the engineering family. So they are part of our family. It is just that if you look at it to drive home the point, in the medical family you have the doctors, you have the nurses, you have the you have so many people. So it's the same thing in the engineering family as well. So we have the craftsmen, they are key people in our family, but they are part of us, but they are not the engineer.
All right, that settles that. You mentioned earlier, while looking at the employment pie charts earlier on, about over 50% of the employment in Nigeria is tilted towards servicing, and a little 13% is into manufacturing. Now, is this not a reason why we need to start beckoning, especially using this program, for example, on young people to look into that direction and take the nation out of where it is to where it should be?
Yeah, that's what we are saying. We need a lot more people. You see, even if you look at the service industry still requires a lot of engineers because we do services a lot. You will maintain your vehicle, you will build your houses, all these are part of service industry. So, and when we also now want to move up to the manufacturing, we need engineers to start up manufacturing industry. And now the president, everybody, the governor, everybody is looking for direct foreign investments. When these people bring in their factories, number one, they need engineers that will help them install. They need engineers that will lead the maintenance team. So we need a lot more people to come into engineering. And not only do you excel as an engineer in engineering, you also even they will still come and snatch engineers to do auditing work.
How?
Well,
how is engineering?
A lot of audit firms will hire engineers and train them to be auditors. Because you cannot audit an engineering firm if you don't speak the language.
Okay.
So it started about the late 80s, that was when we started. So a lot of engineers went into banking, a lot of engineers went into Anderson and management consultants because they realized that if you are not an engineer, if you don't speak that language, you can't audit them.
So many opportunities lie in the field of engineering.
Yes.
Okay, as we coast home, I expected that calls will come in, but since there is none, you mentioned earlier about adjusting a little bit the curriculum. But I want to come from this angle. Most people studying mechanical engineering, for example, they end up knowing more about the theories, how it works, the designs, and all of that. But to get their hands dirty is a challenge. Now, not totally their fault, but because there is no time outside school to go get the knowledge that the artisans and the craftsmen have, even though they are in school. How can they manage it? Some of them that might be watching this program.
No, we do have time because we do industrial training. And most cases when you are doing industrial training, you work with the craftsmen. So you get it. It is the interest that we need to arouse. It is the interest that should be built up. That is what I'm saying. And when I said with a flavor, let me take a typical mechanical engineering course. We have a course that we do that is called fluid mechanics. So the first fluid mechanics can be flavored into plumbing. So the student can also see the practical application of fluid mechanics in plumbing. You understand what I'm saying? So if that is the flavor. So if that student can see practically the design of plumbing house, of plumbing and estates in fluid mechanics, not just the design, but you design it to go and test it out, that flavor will make you get more interest into plumbing. That is the flavor I'm saying. It's not change the curriculum. Just start to implement it with that flavor.
Also, the problem is not with the curriculum.
No. Just implement the curriculum with that flavor.
All right. I would like to put you on the seat, the hot seat, so to speak. Look into the camera. Someone is watching, and just encourage someone as your parting shot to study engineering.
Well, as I say to the young people, engineers do what others will do for $2 for $1. And the field of engineering is huge. The opportunities locally, internationally will always be there, because look around you, everything is engineering. So come, join our family, a happy big family. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Engineer Adeshegun Akinshola Fatoki. He said you should come and join the family. So the family is open, the family is welcoming, and there is money in the family actually. All right, on this note, I'd like to say a big thank you to my guest for coming, and a big thank you to you for watching and being part of the program. Though we expected the calls, but you couldn't come in. So for the question for today, we'll give you a window to continue with us on our social media platforms. And for the question for the week, we have: what element has a minimum atomic number of 8 electrons in its outermost shell? If you know the answer, our social media handles are on your screen. Drop it there. Someone will be ready to harvest those answers. And if you are correct, you get your gift, courtesy of our sponsor, Prince Engineer Yemisi Shillon, FNSC. Now it's time to go, and many thanks to you for joining us. Many thanks to our sponsor, Prince Engineer Yemisi Shillon, for being the author of this program. Thank you so much, and till next week. My name is Tunde Olaniro. Bye-bye.